Okay, so last time we talked about the chloroplast. We talked about a little bit going into photosynthesis, but we did talk about the difference between how some organisms obtain energy between our autotrophs and heterotrophs. So in this chapter, guys, we're only talking about our autotrophs because these are the organisms that are going to go through photosynthesis. Okay, so we talked about the two stages. Now, we didn't go over what happens in the two stages, but we said there's going to be a light stage, and then there's going to be the second stage, which is the Kelvin cycle. All right. Obviously, light reactions, just like the name says, we're going to be absorbing light. All right. We talked about the chloroplast last time. We talked about how it had two membranes, an outer membrane and an inner membrane, just like prokaryotic cells. And then we also talked about the thylakoid. Now, inside of our thylakoid, this is where our chlorophyll is going to be. So inside of those little pancake-looking things. And the chlorophyll is what is going to absorb our sunlight. Okay. We already talked about the stack of thylakoids. That's called a grana, or a singular granum if we just talk about one stack of lovely, delicious pancakes there. All right. And then the stroma, that is our cytoplasm, pretty much, of the chloroplast. Okay, so before we get into the light reactions and go through all the steps that happen there, which that's going to take a while, let's talk about light. Now, sunlight, the sun, gives off white light. Now, if we ran that white light through a prism, we would see every single color of a rainbow, which is why a rainbow is all the colors that it is. So, all the different colors that we see in the world, they are that color for a reason. And let me explain to you what I mean by that. So we have all these different pigments in the world. Okay, plants are green in color. What this means is, let me go back a slide here before we go over this. What this means is we have all these different colors coming from white light. Okay, every color of the rainbow, Roy G. Biv. And I know this picture only shows 3. What can happen is it can either get absorbed. We're not going to worry about transmission here, okay? But it's either going to get absorbed or reflected. Let's just worry about these two. So let's say I have on a maroon sweater here, okay? Pretend it's red. What happens here is as the white light from my lights above me, as that white light hits my red colored fleece here, every single color is going to get absorbed by this fleece, and it's going to go into the fabric, except for red. Red actually is getting reflected off of my fleece, and it's hitting you in the eyes right now, okay? And that's why we see it as red. So whenever something is a certain color, green, blue, whatever, every single color is absorbed by that except for the color it is. So if we talked about like, hey, what color is, I don't know, Kristen's green shirt over there? Yellow. Yellow is a great answer. Red. Red is a great answer. It's actually every color except green because green gets reflected back. Green is not absorbed by it. So when we talk about plants, plants are actually not green. Okay, they do not absorb green at all. They are going to reflect green. So if you put a green light on a plant, that green light is not going to do anything for the plant because that green light actually gets reflected by the plant back. So if we want a plant to go through photosynthesis, we do not want to use green light. We want to use every color except green. Green would actually be very bad for a plant, even though the plant is green, because green light doesn't get absorbed by that plant. Here's another way to look at it if you need the pictorial version of it. Okay, so in our thylakoids, I said that we have chlorophyll in there. Now the chlorophyll, this is going to be our green pigment, all right? So it's going to absorb all these different colors except for green. Here's a picture of a leaf. And there's my lights. Did you see that? You couldn't see my red fleece anymore because we didn't have any light shining down on it. We have a lovely leaf here. Now, if we zoomed in and actually saw the individual cells. So here is our cell wall with our cell membrane. Okay, inside of that, here is all of our chloroplasts. So a plant doesn't just have one chloroplast, it has a lot of them. And why they're green is we're seeing all that chlorophyll inside of our thylakoids. Now, with those thylakoids and the chlorophyll inside of them, there's two different types of chlorophyll. There's chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B. Chlorophyll A, it's going to absorb mostly red light. It also absorbs some violet blue light, okay? But it absorbs red light as well. Chlorophyll B, on the other hand, is going to absorb, if you look at the graph for chlorophyll B, it's going to absorb mostly blue light. If we come down here, it does absorb a little bit of orangish, reddish, but not that much. So when we look at this, chlorophyll A, and chlorophyll, guys, this is what absorbs the sunlight. Chlorophyll A absorbs red and like purple. Chlorophyll B absorbs blue and like an orange red. What would be the best color to shine on a plant if you don't have white light? It's going to be purple, because purple is made of blue and red. So if you ever don't have white light to put on a plant so it can go through photosynthesis, so it can absorb that sunlight, you put on purple light. Okay. The other pigment that we will find, is called a keratinoid. This is an accessory pigment. It's different than our chlorophyll. It's a secondary pigment. So it's going to show us our colors when chlorophyll is not present. So whenever chlorophyll is present, guys, we see the plant as this lovely green color because chlorophyll overpowers the carotenoids. But in the winter and fall, once the chlorophyll dies, we see the carotenoids, which are our lovely yellows, our oranges, and our reds. Okay, so that's once the chlorophyll is no longer there. All right, that's when we see our carotenoids. All right, here is our light reactions. This is beautiful, isn't it? I know I drew this on the board just so I could show you guys what was going on. You can come back to this picture because I like this picture better than the one I'm going to show you. But in order to understand this picture, I'm going to draw another picture of it. But why I wanted to show you this picture first, because you're like, Colm, what are you doing? This picture is very confusing and there is stuff just everywhere on it and my brain already hurts. Yeah, the only reason I wanted to show you this picture is if we look here at all the orange and the brown phospholipids we see right here, okay? This is the thylakoid membrane. So, we are going to do the light reactions today. We are going to, I'm just going to draw the picture for you guys and then we'll review it tomorrow because it's big, all right? It happens in the thylakoid membranes, our light reactions. And we are going to divide them into two photosystems. But what I'm going to do, guys, is if you look at the thylakoid membrane, okay, I drew the thylakoid here, our nice pancake. I'm not going to draw this whole thylakoid membrane out. I'm just going to take a very small chunk of it. And I'm not even going to draw the phospholipids the way I do. But I want you to know that there are phospholipids there. Okay? So, let's get to drawing. Oh, I'm going to need some more room. So let's do this. We're going to white this whole thing out here. You're like, oh my goodness, why are you doing all this, Colm? I don't know. This is going to annoy some of you. I apologize. All right. While I'm doing this, guys, just so I have enough room to draw everything, when we are going to go over the light reactions, obviously they are going to happen only during the day. Why are they only going to happen during the day? Well, sunlight's only available during the day, so that's the only time we're going to use them. All right. Now, we're going to talk about photosystems. Now, anytime you see the prefix photo means light. All right. Good enough. There we go. Okay. So I'm just going to draw a line here. And just to appease some of you, this is probably still going to annoy you because I'm not going all the way down with the white. but that's okay. All right, cool. When we are talking about the light reactions, we are going to use things called photosystems. Photosystems, photo stands for light, so it's just light systems. Now, there is photosystem 1 and photosystem 2. Naturally, we are going to start with photosystem 2. I did not misspeak. We do start with photosystem 2. Why we start with photosystem 2? Well, yeah, I don't know. Photosystem 1 was discovered first. So what happened was, since photosystem 1 was discovered first, they kept that name the same. And then they discovered photosystem 2, which they predicted would happen after photosystem 1. Well, guess what? Photosystem 2 happens before photosystem 1, and they just never renamed them. Lovely. All right. So we are going to start off with photosystem number 2. Abbreviated PS2. No, that does not stand for PlayStation. All right. So I'm just going to draw a line to talk about our phospholipids. All right. This here is going to be outside the thylakoid. Down here is going to be inside the thylakoid. All right. We are going to start with our protein. All right. And in this protein, we are going to have some chlorophyll in it. All right. Cool. So during photosystem 2, our first thing we are going to do is we are going to bring in some lovely, let me get some more white in here. Sorry, guys. Need more white. Told you this picture was going to be big. Okay. That's good. Let's bring in some lovely Mr. Sun. Okay. So this is our light. Our light comes down and it's going to hit our chlorophyll. All right. While this is happening, inside of our thylakoid, we are going to take water, H2O, and we are going to split it. Now there's going to be more than one water molecule in here. So we're going to split this water molecule, and we are going to get some H pluses out of it. And we're also going to get some O2 out of it. All right. This is oxygen. And where's that oxygen go? It's going to leave. Oxygen leaves. It's going to leave the plant, and we're going to be able to breathe. Wonderful. Yeah. Okay. So we're also going to get some electrons out of this. Okay. Now, for our H pluses, from now on, during this chapter, we're going to think of these, instead of as hydrogen ions, we're going to think of them as just protons. Okay, so that's a proton, and then we get an electron. I'm going to bring this electron over here. Okay, so when that electron is formed, we are going to take that electron, and the sunlight is going to give that electron a whole lot of energy. So let me draw some more phospholipids here. Not many, just a little bit. All right. This whole photosystem, guys, is going to be called an electron transport chain. You are going to hear that again in chapter 7 when we go over cellular respiration. However, what we're going to do is we are going to take this electron. So here's our electron. We're going to take that electron. The sunlight's going to hit it, and the electron's going to go toward the sun. It's going to get very excited. It's going to get fueled with a lot of energy from the sun, and it's actually going to come outside of the thylakoid. Electrons are very tiny. They're very easy to pass through everything. So the electron passes through all this chlorophyll because the chlorophyll absorbed the sunlight. We are going to also have some accessory proteins here, which we are not going to worry about the names of them. Okay, they are called cytochromes, but you guys do not have to know that. All right. Okay. The electron, it's now in the protein that has all the chlorophyll in it. The electron is just going to get passed on to our other proteins, and as it goes through those proteins, it's going to lose energy. All right? So, the electron went from inside to outside, back to inside. That's it. Okay? Now, I'm going to come back to photosystem 2 in a little bit. But I'm going to draw a line here. Okay? And we're going to carry this guy over, carry our phospholipid chains over, just a little bit. And now we're going to move on naturally to photosystem number 1. So, let's talk about what happened so far. In photosystem 2, here's what happened. We split water, and we got that electron. We absorbed some sunlight in the chlorophyll. The electron had some energy, and then it lost the energy. That's it. Okay? We're going to add one more step to photosystem 2 in a few minutes here, but not yet. Guess what? In photosystem 1, we have more chlorophyll. Huh. Just when you think this couldn't get any better. So, there's our chlorophyll. We're going to have a random protein here. Then, we are going to have this protein. Oh, he's special. This is a great protein. This is going to be called NADP plus reductase. He is our superhero of photosystem number 1. Now, here's what's going to happen. Okay? That electron, that electron from photosystem number 2 is going to come over to photosystem number 1. So this is still the electron. What did that chlorophyll do? Oh yeah, the chlorophyll. What does chlorophyll do? Chlorophyll absorbs sunlight, so let's bring in some sunlight. There's Mr. Sun. There's Mr. Golden Sun shining down on us. Oh my goodness, there we go. So, chlorophyll absorbs the sunlight. That gives it energy. Where does that energy go? To the electron. Whee! The electron has energy again. Yeah, it came out of the thylakoid. Okay, now it's going to go to our accessory protein. And then it's going to go to NADP plus reductase. Okay? Here we go. What's going to happen here is the NADP plus, we are going to add an electron to it. Let me make that E the blue color because we've been using that the whole time. And we are going to form with those two, NADPH. And that is our goal of photosystem number 2, or number 1, I'm sorry. Okay? Whoa, what happened there? That line is much too small. Oh. It wasn't on my pen, that's why. Okay. Oh, I'm just screwing up, guys. Sorry about that. Okay, here we go. Extend this just a little bit. Okay, so let's talk about what happened in photosystem number 1 here. In photosystem number 1, the electron from photosystem number 2 came over to absorb sunlight. It went to NADP plus reductase, this enzyme here. Anything that ends in ASE is an enzyme. It took our NADP plus, okay? I don't know where we got it from, all right? It's cycled through the first step and the second step of photosynthesis, but NADP plus comes by. It gains that electron, so now it turns into NADPH. NADPH is simply a molecule that holds an electron until someone needs this electron. So photosystem number 1, all it does is form NADPH. That is our goal of photosystem number 1. Let's go to our last step here. Over here, this is going to be a continuation of photosystem number 2. Oops, I did not draw him correctly. There we go. What are you drawing, Communal? You'll see. It's fantastic. You'll love it. Okay. This guy is called ATP synthase. And that was not good to write on there. I'll label it outside. Okay. This is ATP synthase. So, before we get to photosystem number 1, I didn't want to draw this because ATP synthase is way downstream from all this. What happens here is our H pluses from when water splits go over to ATP synthase. There's a little hole on the side here, and the H pluses are going to go through. All right, so our H pluses will go to outside the thylakoid. What's going to happen here is once our H pluses go to the outside, this little thing right here, that guy, okay, that is like a propeller, and it starts to move around. When it moves around and around, it creates kinetic energy, so it creates energy. And what's going to happen is ADP with a phosphate, which is, I'm abbreviated PI, they are going to combine to this propeller, and the propeller, like I said, creates energy and spins. And that energy allows us to form ATP by bringing ADP and the phosphate together. Okay? All right. Done with the photosystem. So let's review everything that happens here, guys. And then tomorrow we will do another review of it just because there was a lot going on in this thing. So, steps of photosystem 2. We split water. We absorb sunlight. The electron, this guy right here, okay, he goes through photosystem number 2, gains energy, loses energy, and then he goes to photosystem number 1. Along with the water being split in photosystem number 2, we can say that we form ADP. It's formed in PS2. Okay, so photosystem number 2 forms ATP, splits water. Photosystem number 1 then uses that electron from photosystem number 2. It regains its energy and then goes to NADP plus reductase, that enzyme, it's a protein, and in doing that, it's able to form NADPH. So photosystem number 1 forms NADPH. All right. Okay, guys, we will review this again tomorrow, and then we'll start the Kelvin cycle. Have a good day.